I wish my camera would span out a little bit. I don't know how to do that.
What do you mean? You want more background?
Yeah, I just seem like I'm taking up a lot of my camera.
Right? You're filling it. You're filling the camera space in. I got to move up closer.
Right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unapologetically Keto. My name is Ralph Peterson. That over there, that's Devin Luciano. And we are off to the races. We've been sitting here hanging out, talking. I had to get him off the phone, by the way, just so you know. I had to get him off the phone because we were doing this pre-show as a show before the show was even a show. Does that make sense? It's hard to not talk about the thing that we're both passionate about every time we get together. You know, I heard that like late night television, what they would do, like David Letterman would do, or Johnny Carson maybe, is between like segments, like when they would go to commercial break, they would have the band play really loud so that the guest didn't talk to the host. Because if they did, they would say, you know, like they would like give away all their best stuff because they're just talking in that banter. Like it's all, so they had to like play the band. That's what I need. I need a band playing.
Yes, that's what you need. For when we're talking about things on the phone, just random loud noise in the background.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I am eating salt for those of you who are following along. How long has it been since you fasted, by the way?
What do you mean? When was the last time I fasted?
Yeah. Has it been a while?
A 36-hour fast a week ago.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I am about 27 hours in right now, 26 hours in right now of a 48-hour fast. And I'm doing it with Dr. Boz's class. She's doing the 21-day sprint is a 6-week. She's trying it out as a 6-week class. And a lot of people in the class are doing a 48-hour fast for the very first time.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to my homies. Yeah. And I wrote a message this morning because we were talking about, so we had our call last night and we were talking about fasting and what to expect. And Dr. Boz has these great meditations, these great tools about trying to center yourself. And it's a lot of focus on finding your why. Why are you doing keto? Why are you trying to get healthy? You know, like what's the most important thing to you? And she also has these like exercises, and it's called rabbit gun. And you're supposed to be able to go back and forth. So gun, rabbit, gun, rabbit, right? Like it's this funky little left brain, right brain exercise that is supposed to help you like reset if you're having any kind of a craving, or, you know, if you're stressed out about something, you know, you play a little rabbit gun game with yourself and you can kind of get out of that little stressful mode. It's nice. Like I think I like all kinds of stuff like that. That's kind of fun to me. But as I was sitting in the class last night, and it's not, Dr. Boz is not teaching it. She has another person teaching it for her. But she was going over all these tools that Dr. Boz provides for just in case, you know, tomorrow when you wake up, you're not eating. And again, for the first time, it might be somebody's first time, a lot of people's first time, where they're going to try to push 48 hours without eating anything. They've never done it before. And so everybody's nervous, you know, everybody's just kind of apprehensive. Nobody's done it. They don't know what it's going to feel like. And, you know, I started thinking about Devin, and I wrote about it this morning, did you take a smoking cessation class when you quit?
No.
You didn't. You just cold turkey.
Yeah. Just done with it.
How long did you smoke?
Not long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I started smoking when I was 24. I quit when I was 35.
Well, 10 years. That's 11. That's a long time.
It's a long time for me, but when I compare myself to like the likes of you, it wasn't long enough.
Okay. Well, right. Well, I started when I was 15. So, okay.
Right.
My only point is that when I quit smoking, I took a smoking cessation class from a hospital. So it was like a weekly class where they teach you how to quit smoking. And one of the things that they taught us, for one of the first things that they did is they had us identify when we would traditionally find the most pleasure in smoking. Was it when you woke up? Was it after a meal? Was it when you were driving? Was it, you know what I mean? Like specifically identify all those times when you are more apt to enjoy a cigarette. Like for me, after dinner, after any meal, really, you push that plate away, you light up a cigarette. Like that was like eureka for me. Right when you wake up in the morning, first thing I would do is light a cigarette, right? Like last thing I would do before I go to bed, smoke a cigarette. Like, so you have all these trigger moments.
In the car, you smoke, yeah.
Yeah, and so you do like this matching game. You identify all the high trigger times when you smoke, when you find it the most pleasurable. What your habits are. At break, at 9 o'clock, at noon, or, whatever. And then you one by one, you go, okay, what am I going to do instead of that tomorrow? Tomorrow's D-Day. Tomorrow I'm not smoking anymore, but I know that I'm habitually a 9 a.m. or right when I wake up smoker, or right after I get done eating smoker. So you go, okay, what are you going to do instead of that? And that's kind of where some of the rules came up in my book, Adventures in Dietland. Some of the rules, like do the dishes. Like do the dishes. One of the rules, do the dishes, is to be, instead of sitting at the table and overeating, not having more than one serving. I have one serving, then I'm going to have another serving, then I'm just sitting here, I'm just going to pick at it. I would literally eat twice as much because it was sitting at the table. And so was I. Just picking at it. Ooh, there's a little crusty piece. Ooh, right? Like everything looks like it's going to be the most desirable until that's gone. And then that next piece that didn't look desirable a minute ago, now all of a sudden looks the most, it's stupid, right? But you're picking at it. So in Adventures in Dietland, and do the dishes is simply like, okay, when I was quitting smoking, because I was such a habitual smoker after I get done eating, instead of sitting there and lighting up, get your hands as fast as possible in warm soapy water. It's nearly impossible to smoke or to light a cigarette when your hands are full of warm soapy water, right?
Yeah.
So it would be like, okay, instead of sitting there and, the temptation of smoking or the temptation of overeating, make the compulsion. You're going to have the cleanest kitchen in the neighborhood. That's what I'll scrub everything. I'm going to, overdo it just to get over that craving part. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is a healthy way of approaching fasting. Like, okay, when do you normally eat? I normally eat my first meal at 11 a.m. Great. How about we schedule a walk at 11 tomorrow? Call a friend, right? Or, save your errand running for just that specific, to get over that habitual eating window time.
Yeah, that's what I do when I plan on doing long fast. I think I used to tell you the best time to schedule a fast is when you're on the road. Because you're constantly out and you're doing stuff. So when I'm doing a long fast, that's what I kind of do. The day of the fast, I go do something. I'll go for a hike, which it's a long hike. I go climb a mountain for 7 hours.
Yeah.
So, and after you fast for a while, if it's your first time, you don't know. But to me, I've discovered that there's thresholds for me. That there's a certain way your
Can
body
you pull your microphone a little closer?
Yeah. There's a certain way your body feels at 24 hours, a certain way your body feels at 48 hours, and so on and so forth. It's like there's certain thresholds until you get to 72, and after 72, that's like after the threshold of 72, you can go for 5 days, and it's just a pure mental thing at that point.
Yeah.
So to your point, every time I know those thresholds now, if I'm doing a longer fast, at those time frames is when I schedule stuff to do outside of the house.
Yeah. I find eating strict keto very challenging when I travel. And so fasting is the easiest when I'm traveling, like you're saying, really out of frustration. Because otherwise I'm just going to bang my head against the wall because I could never find anything Nobody just sells butter. You know what I mean? Like, can I just get a stick of butter? What the?
Yeah.
Louise did buy me a stick of butter, by the way. It's a squishy.
Oh, it's a toy thing?
Yeah, she said kids are using this as stress reliever. I'm like, I don't. All right. It's cute. It's cute. Yeah. No, you know what was interesting, and to your point about it being a mental game, I just started eating 2 meals a day, and I've been eating around 1 o'clock. So I eat a meal at 1, try to eat my second meal by 5, so 4-hour window, trying to get 2,000 calories in, you know, the whole thing. Trying to reduce my protein. It's a whole mess. And I'm never hungry in the morning because I eat at 1. And I eat a heavy, full fat meal, for dinner. But I woke up this morning. I'm in my office. It's 9:30. And I'm like, where's my salt? I want to get a piece of salt. Why? Why? I only eat salt when I'm fasting.
Yeah.
But I was fasting, and even though I wasn't hungry, I don't know. Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
It is weird.
Well, it's weird, but it's also a good segue to what we're talking about, because that's a lot of what the obesity code talks about are those things.
Yeah, the habitual eating or the habitual hunger, I don't remember the 3 kinds of hunger. The hedonistic hunger.
Chronic hunger is the first one. I don't remember what the other 2, but basically the way I always interpret it is physical hunger, the act of your body actually is physically hungry. Pleasure, you're eating because you really enjoy the flavor of the food. Like, I want ice cream, not because I'm hungry, but because I want to eat the ice cream.
Yeah.
Then habitual. I eat at 6 in the morning because I
always eat at 6. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And so it was funny, just even hearing you tell your story about smoking, how that really translates to what he was saying. A lot of times we think that beating the hunger game is just the physical hunger you have to beat, when in actuality that's only 1/3 of the road to healthy living.
And not to put too fine of a point on it, but eating is not a solo sport. And when you get everybody else in your life involved, it becomes... what's funny is I always have used a throwaway term. I feel like I've used it my whole life. Like, when I've really wanted something, I would make this like offhand statement, like, I would do anything for that. Right? I would do anything to lose weight. I would do anything to stop drinking. I would do anything to stop smoking. I would do anything to make more money. Right? Like, I would do anything to have a better relationship with somebody. And all of the time, I've been lying. Actually, there's very little I'd be willing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, just again speaking on the idea of I would do anything to be healthy. Really? Would you really do anything to be healthy? Really?
I think people are willing to do anything to be healthy in a short time frame.
Yeah.
Not realizing what they're committing to, and then that commitment goes away.
Well, Dr. Fung actually addresses that. And let me just tell everybody, I did invite Devin to the show today to talk about the Obesity Code. This book here, mine is literally falling apart on me. If you don't know the backstory, I wanted to read The Hunger Code by Dr. Fung, and Devin said we should start with the Obesity Code, and I said, no, we should read the Hunger Code, and then I won the argument because Devin's not very good at arguing with me. And then, so we read the Hunger Code, and then we read the Obesity Code, and I had to admit Devin was right. We should have started with the Obesity Code. And in fact, I would say to anybody who is interested in learning about dieting, if you're interested in dieting at all and you're wondering like where to start, I would start with the Obesity Code book. Of all the books I've read so far, I think this gives about as clear of an education that you can get from a beginner book. I think the Obesity Code is, and then after that, depending on what diet you're trying to focus on. That's the other thing too. I always said that it didn't matter what diet you're on, like all diets worked. And in fact, that's the entire premise of this book, is that there's rules to dieting, but all diets will work. And in the Obesity Code, Dr. Fung says, no. That's like saying, he said, let me tell you exactly what he said, because he basically calls me out. He said, hold on. Oh yeah, here we go. He goes, well, first of all, he's saying, first, all diets work. That's his first statement. Then he says, second, all diets fail. Thank you, Dr. Fung. It's the kind of genius we needed. And what the reason, and that's how he's concluding the book, by the way. That's nearly the end of the book. What he's trying to say is that once you find the root cause of weight gain, which is high insulin, pretty much point blank, all diets will lower insulin. A low carb diet will lower insulin. A low fat diet will lower insulin. A vegan diet will lower insulin. A gluten diet will lower insulin. Like he's like, all of these things will lower insulin for a little bit of time. And that time is usually around 6 months. At the 6-month mark, most diets fail. They start to reverse. And everybody gains weight back. And in fact, they don't just gain weight, they gain more weight back. And so, to the point that I would say, like the premise of this book is that any diet will work. He writes, well, he's talking about how, some people claim it's all about the calories, and then he's actually, well, it's nothing about calories, and that's just a single factor. There is no best diet, or choose the diet that suits you, or the best diet is the one that you can follow. I'm guilty of saying that, but this is him saying, if supposed experts in nutrition and disease don't know the right diet, how are we supposed to? Is the American Standard Diet the best diet? Or is the sugared cereal diet? Or is the Atkins diet? He's like, a cardiologist wouldn't say the best way to stop heart disease is to just do which ones you think is easiest to follow. That obviously wouldn't work, right? Follow the treatment that's easiest for you. That wouldn't work, right? So his whole point is that his conclusion is that while all diets will have some positive effects initially, those effects, there's very little long-term effects if you don't understand the hormone imbalance. And he's talking, of course, about the thermostat, lowering the thermostat, because you can restrict your body all day with calories, but if that thermostat doesn't come down, eventually that thermostat is going to demand too much from you, and you're going to give in. And it'll be that 6, 7, 8 month mark, and you're going to start eating again to meet that thermostat level.
Well, I think what I got from it is, I think we're saying the same thing but differently. So, or I think we're going to say the same thing but differently. I think the reason why diets don't fail is when people go into a diet.
You mean don't work? You mean don't work, when diets don't work.
Yeah. Why they work only in short term, but then they fail, is because when most people go into the diet, they have a number in mind. They have a mindset of, I need to lose 20 pounds. I need to lose 50 pounds. I need to lose 100 pounds. And they think there's already an end to it, first off. They're not thinking the long term. And so they're trying to do the cheat code of, well, if I lower my calories in, then I'll lose weight. Not realizing that only works in the short term because our bodies are too smart, smarter than our conscious mind, in that it's going to become more efficient over time, um, and do everything it can to reserve energy and conserve energy, lower our metabolism. That thermostat's going down further and further and further. So now, great, you're eating, you normally eat 2,500 calories before the diet, but now you're eating 1,300 calories, but still gaining weight. Um, and what he's talking to is that's the problem. You're restricting the amount of food you're eating without teaching your body a new way of eating.
Yeah, without lowering the thermostat.
Right. You've
Which
got
again,
to
he
learn
says is
how
a
to.
hormonal balance. It's nothing you can teach yourself. It's just a hormonal imbalance.
No, it's completely teaching yourself, because you're still learning. You got to learn how to eat less food without your body thinking it's eating less food. Right. That's the whole point of keeping your thermostat the same. Um, but it truly is. To me, it is, because remember, there's three types of hunger. Physical hunger is the only one that has a physical component to it. The other two are mental.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other two are mental components. It's like when you were talking just a few minutes ago about quitting smoking. You have to trick your brain to think about something other than food.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
instead of getting dessert, find something else enjoyable for yourself to do
Mm-hmm.
to get that same dopamine fix that you're looking for, that good rush.
Mm-hmm.
Find
That little
something else.
mouth pleasure.
Right. Even, and replace it,
Yeah.
or the habitual times of eating, when you were talking, well, I smoke when I'm in the car, right? I, smoke when I go to wake up. I smoke when I go to bed. Same thing with food. I wake up and I eat breakfast, well, instead of eating breakfast, what am I going to do? Right? What's the thing I'm going to replace it with?
Mm-hmm.
When I go out and hang out with friends, we go to a restaurant because food is very much a social convention.
Mm-hmm.
Well, instead of hanging out with my friends and going to a restaurant, what am I going to replace that with? I still want to hang out with my friends, but I don't want to eat past 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You said something very interesting, and that is that everybody starts a diet with an end in mind. I'm going to
yeah,
diet until this happens, or until this date, or until I can fit into those pants, or, right? Like, it's not, even if you don't declare a timeline, there generally is a timeline.
yeah,
There generally is a time. And I remember when I first was going to the first Dr. Boz class in September, that somebody had asked, they're like, how long do you have to do this? And she said, forever. And I was a little shocked by that, like everybody else was, because we were not, I don't think we were, I know that I wasn't prepared for that response. I didn't expect it. Like, because as much as, remember we used to do Bill Phillips, Body for Life?
yeah,
Body for Life is a program that is not tongue in cheek. It is body for life.
yeah,
You're supposed to do this exercise routine and this eating way for the rest of your life. And I remember in his book, he even made that he's like, you got to be committed to this.
yeah,
It's called Body for Life, not body for a week, not body for the summer. It's not body for this year. It's body for life. And of
yeah,
course, it was a 12-week program. It literally ended in 12 weeks, And keto, being metabolically healthy, is for life. There is no getting off it.
yeah,
There is no cheat days. There is no time offs. And I think I am better suited for keto and being able to handle the idea of keto for life, no cheat days, because because I had a problem with alcohol, and because I had to figure out how to still participate at the bar, literally, with clients. I was in sales. How to still participate in a bar around alcohol and still be entertaining and still be fun and still feel comfortable. Still, I was 350 pounds, still be the life of the party without consuming the alcohol. That was very hard for me, and I couldn't do it at first. At first, I couldn't go to the bar. Right? I couldn't go. And it did hurt me in sales and relationships. I was always, I was like being left behind. I had a bunch of FOMO. But in order to quit drinking, I really needed that separation. And it took me like over a year before I could go, yeah, I'll go to the bar with you and not drink.
Yeah.
Going through that experience has really helped me. Being able to go to a restaurant with my wife, with friends, and I'm fasting. It doesn't help them at all. They can't handle it. Like they are just like, you're really not eating? Oh my God, this is so unhealthy for you. Like everybody becomes a nutritionalist, at the table. Right. They're eating bread and pasta and the cheese and everything. And they're like, oh, that's not healthy for you. Give me that piece of bread. I'm like, I'm the one being unhealthy at the table. Okay. Right. But it's not out of, it's out of love. It's out of concern. It's out of people want to eat with people who are eating. Nobody feels comfortable if you're like, and that's how it was when I was not drinking. You're not drinking? You won't have a beer with me? Just one? Like, what's the matter with it? Right? Like my friends now don't like it when I point that out because they get a little aggressive. Like, you're really not going to have any? I'm like, look, this is what it was like when I was quitting drinking. And they're like, I would have supported you. Peace and love. No, you wouldn't have. You would have been.
Right.
This is exactly how everybody treated me. Not because they're mean, not because they're, it's hard for them. But I feel like, honestly, I never even thought of it this way, but going through that really has helped me in the keto space.
Yeah.
Being unapologetically keto is because at some point I had to become unapologetically non-drinker.
Right.
And that was way harder. Yeah, good talk, Devin.
It's another thing that's a socially accepted thing. And people expect it. We're all going to go out for a drink afterwards. You should come. We're all going to go out to get some food. We should go all eat.
I got to say that when because once again, I wanted to quit drinking 3, 4, 5 years before I quit drinking. I hated it. I wanted to lose the weight 20 years before I lost the weight. I hated being overweight. I hated it. And what I also didn't want to do is I didn't want to alienate my friends. I didn't want to not go out to the bar. I didn't want to not be go to the golf. We would have golf tournaments for the work I did. Everybody start drinking at 9 a.m. It was fun. It was funny. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I can honestly articulate a pretty good case for drinking. I mean, I had some really great times, made some really good friends, Yeah. And I didn't want to give that up. I never wanted to give that up. And that was part of why it took me so long to quit drinking. It's why it took me so long to quit smoking. It's why it took me so long to commit to a diet. I mean, let's be honest. I lost 150 pounds doing Weight Watchers. Do you know how embarrassing it was for me to do Weight Watchers? To walk into the Weight Watchers community every Saturday morning and be the only guy.
Right.
Not only be the only guy, but be the only person in my 40s. Because everyone was women in their 50s, 60s. That's all it was.
Yep.
And they were literally swapping recipes. And Weight Watchers would print out like the weekly recipe. And I was like, F me. I don't want a recipe. All right. I want to get on the little scale. I want to have a win. And if I have a win, I'm going to go celebrate with some food somewhere. Okay. That's all I'm going to do.
It's funny you say that because isn't it the funniest thing? It's one of the reasons why I like Dr. Fung is what he's saying is with the other two, we surround ourselves around so much food all the time that, of course, that's what we're thinking about. And you say that, and I am part of when I was on. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but when I was on Facebook, I joined a couple of keto communities and carnivore communities, and one out of every four posts was a recipe of something. This keto friendly this or keto friendly that. This fat bombs and I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to not think about food, and all you're doing is making me think about food. It's kind of that vicious circle, and we go, well, why do diets fail?
Yeah.
Because in order for it to work, you gotta, I think you said in one of our talks, you brought up that guy. He was asked, well, what's the secret? And he had said that he doesn't even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Theo Vaughn. That's just
Yeah,
it. Theo Vaughn, and it turns out thousands of other people are thin, not because they're great at discipline. Do you know how many skinny people I know that are a complete mess?
oh yeah,
I mean, can't get out of their own way emotionally.
right. Oh, I know a bunch
But we would look at them and go, "Oh, they have such good discipline." No way.
because they manage 2/3 of the diet, right? That's
But
why
they
I was saying
don't. Yeah, but
before.
that's just it. That's what Theo. That's what I learned about Theo Vaughn. He does not manage his diet.
No, you're not hearing me. Let me
Oh,
finish.
yeah.
When I said the physical hunger is only 1/3,
Oh, right.
so
Okay.
me and you, we're good at managing that 1/3, but you still struggle. The people that we
Right.
know that are skinny are managing 2/3 really well. They don't eat for pleasure, and they don't eat for social conventions. They don't think of it until they're actually physically hungry.
Yeah, they never even think of it. The food's never even on their mind.
Right.
Everything else is, but not that.
Right.
Yeah, everything else is, but not that.
They don't have the mental attachment to the food as most other like myself do.
Yeah. So,
And so when they do eat, they're eating whatever the heck they want because they're not going to eat again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I the only thing that I keep reminding myself of, and it's liberating to me. It's why I'm even gonna repeat it. Like I feel like I repeat it all the time. Is if you're struggling with weight, it's not your fault. It's not. Even though, yes, you could probably have better habits and make better choices and not have the ice cream in the refrigerator. I agree. Yes, it's absolutely on you. But there is a deep down biological craving for food that you do not have control over. And that needs to be part of the discussion. The whole idea of fat shaming and you're not disciplined enough and you're not good enough and you don't have the ability to work hard, and I don't buy that. I bought it my whole life. I wore it as a I owned it as that's me. I am undisciplined. I mean, Devin, I'm about to publish my first textbook. Do you think I'm undisciplined? You don't think I can sit in a spot and put my head down and work hard? You know what I mean? But that's how I would treat myself. So I just think there's more to the story. Actually, you know what? Dr. Boz had on Dr. Ken Berry on her show this week. Did you catch Dr. Boz this week?
No, not this week. No.
Tuesdays, 4 p.m. live, East Coast time. Don't ever miss Dr. Boz on YouTube. She had Dr. Ken Berry on. And they were just it was a great conversation because it's almost like two doctors just sitting around a table talking about what it was like growing up and learning about keto and discovering it accidentally kind of thing, because they both kind of accidentally discovered it. And it's a really great, insightful conversation between the two of them. And oh God, I lost my train of thought. I was going to make a point of something Dr. Ken Berry said that was so interesting. It'll come back to me. Anyway, watch his show too. I don't know his
Well,
schedule like I know Dr. Boz's.
I think based off of what you're saying, I mean, I can understand it because it is something that we're taught, all of our lives, in our lives anyway.
Yeah.
We were taught, food was a treat. You know,
Mm-hmm.
hey, let's all go out for ice cream,
Mm.
or let's all have desserts,
Mm.
birthday parties. We're gonna have cake and candy on
Mm-hmm.
Halloween, and so food was always
Your mother, we should put this out there. Your mother was a professional cake decorator. I mean, what are we
yes,
talking about? I mean,
right,
she would make these amazing look. She would like, I remember, I even have a picture of like, of a cake with Garfield on it. Your mom made that cake, and like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean,
cake and made her frosting, and um, and then you put on all those social conventions of times of eating. Everybody eats breakfast, everybody eats lunch. School saying you got to have a snack. So to your point, when you get older and you're having these weight problems that we're all having, I mean, obesity is a big issue nowadays. To your point, it's not your fault in the sense it's how you were raised.
no,
Um,
I was saying that there's also a biological
I know what you were
component.
saying. I'm saying I understand it in the way of the way social convention.
Yeah,
Um, you do the same thing for so long, it does potentially have a biological side effect to it that needs to be
yeah,
addressed. Sure.
yeah. So I know that you listen to the book, right? You don't have a physical copy?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm a physical reader, I'm a highlighter, of course, right? So I highlight, I take notes. And there's a couple of things in here that I wanted to talk about that I wonder if you caught because they're
Okay.
directly about you.
Oh,
It's
great.
very fascinating. Like,
Nice.
like, first of all, let's talk about your breakfast. And it might have
Yeah.
changed today, but for a long time, what was your breakfast? Tell me about it.
Well, you got to understand one thing.
Tell me about the
Uh,
yogurt. I want to know about the yogurt specifically. Go ahead.
oh, so you're not talking before, you're talking now.
I'm talking, yeah. Like, what is your breakfast now? Yeah.
So my breakfast now is 300 grams of whole food plain Greek yogurt from Cabot.
Oh, you're not making your own yogurt anymore.
Nope, I stopped making it
Okay.
because
Okay.
the Cabot yogurt it's more dense, it's more filling.
Got it. Yep.
So I just started going with
Yeah, I love
that.
Cabot. Good. Yep.
Um, it's 1 scoop of whey protein, and then I put some form of I put some form of other thing in it. So either it's blueberries, or sometimes a tablespoon of strawberries, something, and that's what I eat.
Perfect. Perfect. So, Dr. Fung, he's talking about protein, and he's talking about, is protein good? Is protein bad? And the answer is yes, and the answer is no, right? Like, and it depends on which protein and all that. And I'm reading it, and I know that I have a protein problem. I know that I overconsume protein. And so I'm trying to be more mindful of adding more fat. Okay. But he quotes a study that's very interesting. Because first and foremost, he says one of the milk or dairy products that's really, really good for you is yogurt.
Yeah.
Yogurt's a great protein source.
Yep.
So saith Dr. Fung. And again, I believe Dr. Fung. Okay. But he also quotes this other study about energy intake after you eat protein. So they had this study. Do you remember this study? They had this study where people are taking in various types of protein in the morning, and then 4 hours later, they test their hunger level. Like, how much are they consuming afterward, right? So the first question is, what protein is it, and does it spike insulin? That's what we want to know. How much does it spike insulin? And then number 2, how long does it satiate you? Okay? Following me? Okay.
Yep.
So what they found is they only did 4 foods: eggs, turkey, tuna, and whey protein.
Right.
Whey protein. So whey protein spikes your insulin,
Yeah.
but it keeps you fuller longer. So if I have a breakfast with eggs and you have a breakfast with whey protein and yogurt, you're going to eat less than I am. In 4 hours, you're not going to be as hungry as I'm going to be from my eggs.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have a less insulin response than you did. So your insulin response is going to go higher and mine's going to stay lower. Isn't that interesting?
It is, yeah. But and I did catch that. That's why I told you before, and I stocked up on protein powder.
Yeah, because you've been doing the whey protein for a long time.
Yeah, and it's almost gone, and I'm not buying it again because it's a pre-processed food, and as Dr. Fung says, it makes it highly
inflammatory
to produce insulin, and it processes through your body really quick, so you're going to get a huge spike from it.
Yep.
You're better to get the protein from an actual food instead of protein powder.
Yeah. And
he made sense. I was like, all right, I'm sold. I'm not going to throw it away because it wasn't free.
Yeah. Well, at some point, you learn, I learned this in Weight Watchers too. At some point, you got to understand that with some foods, if you don't throw it away, like if you made a bad purchase, like, oh, I shouldn't have got that, and you don't throw it away, you end up paying for it twice. You pay for it in cash, and then you pay for it in in health, right? And in weight gain and inflammation. So you end up paying for it twice. But the other thing is, so I'm fasting right now, but I have been having problems with my sugar numbers. I mean, they're in the 90s every morning. Every morning, they're in the 90s. Yeah. And I'm like, why? What am I consuming? And I am consuming some 0 calorie, 0 sugar, artificially sweetened salts. So like a element salt.
I was going to say, is that like Element or something?
Yeah. Right?
Like the Element drink or whatever.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, even BHB, which is androgynous ketones. I'm even taking androgynous ketones that are flavored. But it's 0 calories, 0 sugar. Okay, right? Well then, Dr. Fung is talking about diet soda, the diet soda delusion. That's what this chapter is called. I don't know if you can say it. The diet soda delusion. Mm-hmm. You still drinking diet soda?
Oh,
anyway. First of all, you're going to love this study if you are still drinking diet soda. In 2008, a risk in community study found a 34% increase incidence of metabolic syndrome in diet soda users. The study found a 30% increase in increased risk in cardiovascular events, heart attacks and strokes, in those drinking 2 or more diet drinks daily. And it is because of the artificial sweeteners. And here's the thing that made me go, okay, wait a minute. And I've only been on pure water ever since I read this chapter, by the way. The important question is, again, back to the book, do artificial sweeteners increase insulin levels? Now, this is the powder that I'm drinking, the soft drinks that you're drinking, it says 0 calories. It says 0 sugar. Right? They're not lying. It is 0 calories, 0 sugar. His question is, does it still raise insulin? And he's saying that it's sucralose, which is one of the artificial sweeteners, raises insulin by 20% despite the fact that it contains no calories and no sugar. Aspartame and stevia raise even insulin levels even higher than a single table sugar than table sugar. So you'd be better off, if you're interested in lowering insulin spikes, you'd be better off drinking sugar water than diet soda. Or not diet soda, but even Element, I think. Anything with artificial sweeteners raises your insulin levels higher than table sugar. That's what Dr. Fung is saying.
Yeah, but I think...
Page 172. Page 172, for your notes.
Yeah. But I've also seen other people say the opposite. They can spike insulin in some people and not in others. Um, and when I was checking my insulin levels like you were, it never spiked my insulin. Um, I do think there's a mental component to it. That's why I try to limit how much of it I actually do take. Because I think there's a mental element to it where the artificial sweetener convinces your body that it's having sweeteners.
Oh,
And
yeah,
make
yeah,
it,
yeah. Might satiate that little sweet, which is
yeah,
what
it's
heavy cream does
satiating
for
it by
me.
convincing you that you're having it. So therefore you want more of it. You know what I mean? So it's like that. You end
Yeah,
up craving.
a lady in my class said the other day or the other week that she doesn't want we were talking about the artificial sweeteners, like the flavored salts or whatever. And she's like, it took me so long to break the craving of sugar. I want nothing sweet because I just don't want to fall back into that rabbit hole. To your point,
Yeah.
it's again, I think. Oh. Now I remember what Doctor Boz and Dr. Ken Berry were saying. The problem with medicine is that multiple answers to the same question can be true.
Yeah.
It's never a yes, it's a yes and. It's never a no, it's a no but, right? Like there's that's medicine. It's like he's like it's just never is clear cut ever, even though we're all 99.9% the same, that 1% difference makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's an important distinction. And you have to have some, he's like, when you're a doctor, you have to have some sort of understanding that don't treat every one of your patients the same way. You've got to, you got to treat everybody really as an individual. He's like, that's hard because as a doctor, you kind of see the same thing happen over and over again. And so when the patient comes in, you're like seen it 1,000 times already. Like, all right, I know what that is.
Yeah.
But you can get caught up in that trap. And so it's not always the same thing. Now, the big question or the big thing I really wanted to get into with you, and I started a whole discussion with you last weekend, if you remember, on Saturday, is the question of, you know that statement, you are what you eat?
Go ahead.
Here's my question. Is that actually true? Is it true that you are what you eat? And I bring it up only because, again, I was at a restaurant, we're out to dinner or out to lunch with some family, and I'm eating a lot of butter. I ordered a filet steak because I haven't yet mastered how to make them, but I ordered a filet steak with butter two ways, and that's how I order it. I'm like, I want butter two ways. I want hard butter, cold. If you could got it out of the freezer, that'd be great. And I want hot butter. I want it heated up in a little thing, hot. And so one of the girls is like watching me eat this little tiny steak with all this butter, and she's like, I can't believe you eat that much fat. Like, that's going to make you fat. And so then I proposed to you, I said, do you think eating fat would make you fat? And you know what Dr. Fung says? No.
Right. We had this conversation.
We did.
Yeah.
Again, 193 for your notes, Dr. Fung. He's talking about, first of all, he makes the point that all foods will raise insulin. And any raising of insulin triggers the body to store fat. So any food will potentially raise insulin. Anything that raises insulin can make you fat. So let's just make sure we're calling a spade a spade. So he says, fatty foods can also stimulate insulin, but pure fats, such as olive oil, do not stimulate insulin or glucose. The problem is few foods are ever eaten as pure fat. That's the
Correct.
problem. Once you start having anything with that pure fat, that raises the insulin. And then, of course, everything's being absorbed and converted into fat. And so in that case, you could, again, if you eat just fat, you are what you eat.
Right. And we did have this conversation, and we did discover that if you did overeat fat, you can get fat. It is hard, but you can get fat.
We went to Claude, I think, or ChatGPT. Who'd we go to?
It was Claude.
Claude. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Had to
your
break
point,
the tie in our discussion.
It would be hard, but if you overeat it, then eventually your body will do something with it. But it's funny. I was having a conversation with my son and about dieting and food. He's asking questions, and I always try to give him information. And I did tell them, based off of Dr. Fung's book, and that is this: if gaining weight, your body storing fat is stimulated from insulin. If at the end of the night, if you're hungry, you absolutely want to eat something, then it's better to find something in the fridge that's very high in fat. For instance, go to the fridge, get the heavy whipping cream that we have there, throw it in the blender, whip it up, eat it. Right?
My favorite, by the way. My favorite.
Too many calories for the day, but theoretically, your body's going to have a lot harder time storing that as fat.
Yeah. It keeps you fuller longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more that I get into, I got to tell you, I was going to say, the more I get into the biology of it and the science of it, the more fascinated I get, the more I'm interested. I'm like, oh, that's how that works,
Yeah.
Many of the books that I'm reading, though.
Books is really good, by the way.
What's that?
So I'm like that too, and that's why I really like Dr. Fung's books. He really talks about the whys and the hows, and he gives you unbiased, factual knowledge about how our bodies handle food.
Yeah. And he's not a keto doctor. He doesn't prescribe keto. He's really more of a Mediterranean, if you asked, I think, or paleo. He really kind of I feel like if I were to ask him directly, like, which diet, I think he would say paleo. I get upset over the idea that he would say Mediterranean because I am such an anti Ansel Keys person at this moment. Like, I think Ansel Keys is one of the Dr. Ansel Keys. Have we talked about Dr. Ansel Keys at all?
No.
All right. Well, he's kind of the forefather, if you will, of the food heart diet. He's the one who published the studies that said high cholesterol comes from fat, and that's what causes heart disease, even though his own studies proved the opposite. But that was in the 1940s, 1950s. He was the one who created the MRE, and he was the MRE's meal ready eat for military. So he was the one who literally created the military guidelines that would eventually become the American standardized diet guidelines in the 1970s. Yeah. He created it in the 1940s. And he's also the one who created the Mediterranean diet. He's the one who coined.
I didn't know the name, but I do know this. He's the one that did the study of 50 countries and handpicked 7 and came up with the point.
The 7-country study. That's right. Yeah. And what's also tragic is that you can buy his studies. It's published. It's 1,000 pages. It's this huge, massive study. And is it the Minnesota study? The Minnesota starvation study, I think, where they, it's part of this whole thing where he's got these men to volunteer to starve themselves for periods of time so he could study their metabolic and all this stuff. Anyway, the problem with the 1,000-page study, though, is it's like $2,500.
Oh, wow.
Like, why isn't anybody reading it? Because who the hell is spending $2,500 on a study? But the thing is, the data is what you really want. You don't want his interpretation. You just want the data.
Right.
Anyway, I was starting to say that the more I get into the biology of it, the more interested I am in the biology. But also, there's the yin and yang. The more I get into the politics of it, the more I hate it. You know? So, like, reading Dr. Fung's book on the obesity code is two parts. It's one part, the biology and the studies, but all of it is tainted by the politics of the, like, this is what they told us forever, and this is why they told us, and there was money involved, and it was the people who were doing the study, and he has to give the honest assessment, obviously, but it's so heartbreaking that I'm like,
Yeah.
let's just, at this point, I don't even want to get into the conspiracy theories anymore. Like, people are like, what about your cholesterol? And I'm like, I don't even have time anymore.
Yeah, it's like, don't want to have to explain it because, well, first off, a lot of people just don't want to hear it. But to your point, I mean, we've had those conversations a lot where we were raised hearing certain things about certain things, and we just took it as, well, it must be true. Like
Yeah.
they're the ones saying it and they get paid to say it. They're the ones doing all the tests. They must know.
Yeah.
And then you find out that there was some political angle or marketing leverage or this or that as to why they made the decisions they made. And it wasn't so much anybody's particular health concerns, really. And you're right. It's depressing when you think about it.
It really is. It really is. So what's next for you?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I mean, we've been, that's the other thing too about this book is that, let me see if I tried to highlight things that I wanted to bring up, just so I can be able to flip through it really quick and easy, but I guess I wasn't able to highlight everything I wanted to talk about. Or maybe I did highlight it and I just can't find it. But I'm taking Dr. Buzz's class for the second time here, and I'm doing it for a couple of reasons. I mean, I'm doing it because I want to be part of the community. I really like it. I'm trying to get more information that I might have missed. I'm on an adventure of learning. I'm only 9 months in to this keto diet. Yeah, I'm not like everybody else is like, I've been keto carnivore for 10 years. Okay. I'm still really new in it. So I'm still, trying to learn. And, my body's not reacting the way it did when I first started. I was having a lot lower glucose, a lot higher ketones. Today, I mean, my glucose was 93. My ketones were 0.3.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like yesterday, I didn't have any carbohydrates. I didn't have, I don't have any if I have a carbohydrate, it's a form of a vegetable, and it's way less than 20 grams, right? So, yeah. I mean, but my body is always adapting. My body is always changing. And so it's annoying as heck because I'd rather just set it and forget it. Mm-hmm. I'd rather be like, well, this is the breakfast you eat. This is the lunch you eat. That's it. Just eat the same thing. I'll be fine eating the same thing, but I'm not getting the same results.
Yeah. Well, I guess to answer your question, I mean, I think we've both been doing this diet for a while.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, basically, the takeaways I got from Dr. Fung, and I think I might have mentioned it to you before, is, we're pretty good at controlling the foods we're eating, the foods we're choosing to eat. I've been very strict whole food diet, haven't had bread, don't even have cravings for bread, which used to be one of my favorites. For years. And so I think what's next for me is learning to master the other two aspects of dieting, to further control the hunger and to reset my thermostat. I think managing physical hunger and dealing with physical hunger is one thing. I think you need to get better personally at the eating for pleasure and the habitual hunger. So I'm going to focus on that a lot more. while maintaining the others aspects of things that I've changed over time. I'm just going
Mm-hmm.
to keep adding one more thing. You know what I mean? And hopefully at some point get to the same point where I am with bread. I don't even think about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's possible. I just think it's a long road, not a short road.
Yeah.
Uh,
How are you feeling?
Good. I feel
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. You still
Yeah.
working out? I know you're walking and hiking a ton, but are you working out and everything?
Yeah. Yeah. I still work out. I still walk. I still hike. Still my favorite pastime. You try to go with the dog as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I feel good. My body aches are pretty much, I have them when I first wake up, but get up, shake them
Yeah,
off.
that's the other thing too. Like the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks, every morning I wake up, my fingers are stiff, which is a
Huh.
sign, I think, of high glucose. I mean, I test my blood and it's 93. I mean, that's pretty friggin' high. So,
Yeah.
and I really think I've been overdoing it on the artificial sweeteners. I mean, that's all I can think of. That's why I'm just like, with this class, they're like, hey, we're going to fast next week. I'm like, thank God. I need a complete detox.
Well,
Let me just reset.
you are hypersensitive to insulin. You
Yeah,
always have been.
yeah,
Eating too much protein will set you off.
I know.
I
I don't,
I don't have that problem as much. I
yeah.
have the habitual eating problem. Oh, I woke up, it's breakfast time. And therefore I'm hungry. You know.
I have that too. Not breakfast, but I mean, when I look and it's 12:30, I'm like, oh, I should be eating soon. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
literally just because I saw the clock, not because I was like, oh, I must be close to the time. You know what I mean? It's the opposite. It's
Right.
to your point. That's weird.
It shows you the power of the mind, right?
Yeah,
You weren't thinking about it until you saw what time it was, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden you're like, oh. I liken it to my dog. Um, Phoenix, who doesn't have a watch and can't tell time, will let you know exactly when it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. She'll let you know exactly when it's 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, that habitual hunger. She knows it's time to eat. You know,
I think she does know what time, how to tell time.
right?
She just doesn't need a watch.
Exactly.
She doesn't need a
Just
clock.
listen to
Yeah.
her body. You know.
It's really funny. It's really funny. It's a good journey we're on. I think we're doing right by ourselves.
And I think you had it right, and that I think that's probably the next thing I'm going to do too is try to journal out the process, the learning of it, you know, maybe end up writing a book, but more, I do a lot of journaling for myself, writing
Mm-hmm.
notes and putting my
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on paper, um, just to wrap my head around it, to digest the information and the knowledge and make it part of me.
I was thinking about maybe just looking for, like, I've been tracking data this whole time. Every morning I've checked my blood. Every morning I've checked my glucose for 9 months. I keep a food diary every day. I mean, really consistently.
Yeah.
My exercise regimen diary every day. I track my runs. I track my bike rides. All that stuff. I mean, and I've done my blood tests and everything at the beginning and in the middle, and I'm going to do it at the end and everything. But so I think I'm going to be able to have a real good, if not any conclusions, at least a real good study. Some real good information to be able to go like, I don't know. That's what the numbers were, and that's what the
Yeah.
numbers are, and that's how they ebb and flowed over the time. Is there a correlation between what I was eating and what my blood? I don't know. And the exercise, I mean, I don't. You can make that, but I would also be interested in looking for a formal study. there's all kinds of places doing studies, and you're looking for volunteers. I'm always reading, like, in this 5,000 volunteers. I'm like, how do you volunteer for one of these studies? I would volunteer. I mean, I'm tracking everything anyway, like,
Right.
I would do it. What do I got to lose,
Yeah.
What are you going to read next, you think?
Huh?
What are you going to read next, you think?
I don't know. I haven't found the next one to read yet.
Yeah.
You? Any ideas?
Well, I'm still in the middle of 5.
I was going to say, you're kind of going all over the place. I know you have a few.
Yeah, I got to say...
I have a couple off topic that I'm listening to, but as far as the topic at hand, I don't know what the next one would be.
I just picked up, well, it took me forever to get it, but this book here is The Cell's Illustrated Story of the Cell. And I can't wait to dive into this because, the cellular biology is really where my interest is at this moment.
Yeah.
I just really want to understand how the cell, I want to be able to talk intelligently about it. And I want to be able to explain and understand what's going on at the cellular level when you eat the foods, whatever food you're eating. I want to know how everything works,
Yeah. You want to know the science behind it all, huh?
I really do. And I don't think, and I haven't gotten far enough into this book to know it yet, but I don't think they talk at all about politics in this. It's just a book on biology, which I'm very excited about, Yeah. I'm very excited about. Well, if I could recommend, and I know that maybe perhaps this is not going to be a book that you'd want to read or be interested in reading, but I would recommend Enough by Oprah Winfrey. Oprah and Dr. Jenks or whatever. I can never pronounce her name. It's such a good book. And here's why I think you would like it, is because she goes into the history of obesity and when like all the trials and things that they were trying to figure out, because obesity didn't become classified as a disease until 2016. And then once it got classified as a disease in 2016, it started to get funding from the federal government. And that funding has led to all these amazing discoveries. And you'll listen to like the history of diet of all the obesity, and you're going to go like, oh yeah, I remember Slim Fast. Oh yeah, I remember. You know what I mean? Like, we were in it, even though we didn't know that we were in it. Like all the things that they're talking about, like they walk you through the history of obesity and weight loss and all. It's really fascinating. And she does a great job of also describing the enough point, the thermostat model that Dr. Fung begins with in the obesity code. She expands on that in the book Enough. I think that would be I think you'd really like it.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
You definitely get a lot of, it's a great, it's an audio book.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll look it up on audio.
Yeah, it's an audio. It's on Audible, and the doctor does read it, and Oprah Winfrey chimes in. So in Oprah's part, she reads her parts, and she talks about, Oprah's story is so, again, is Oprah lazy? Does she lack discipline? No. You don't become one of the most successful women in America by being an undisciplined, lazy SOB, right? But she has her whole life struggled with weight. And in this book, she talks openly and honestly about that and what it was like. And it's so powerful. It's so fascinating. So fascinating. Anyway, thank you, brother, for getting on with me. I appreciate you more than you know. Everybody should go out and have a Devin. Go find yourself a Devin. That's what everybody needs. Everybody needs their own Devin. I was thinking about that too, I feel so blessed to have such a good friend. So thank you for always being such a good friend.
I feel the same. It's always good to be able to call you.
Yeah, it's really, really great. Any final words? Make sure you're subscribing. Like this channel, subscribe to it, even though me and Devin just kind of rattled off and argued. Buy the book, Adventures in Dietland.
Yeah. Get that.
All right. Thank you, everyone. See y'all later. Devin, don't go nowhere.